The topic of this video is a simple one. The topic is how to fake volumetric lighting using a particle system. So if you're not familiar with what it is, volumetric lighting is where a beam of light is shining across your environment and you can like physically sort of see that beam of light as it goes through. Yeah, so we're just gonna get into it. So here I have my environment set up. It's just got a few windows here and you can see the light is shining down here on the floor. And I would love for there to be beams of light through this environment. In an earlier video, I made a material that was a fog material. Here it is. So it's just using a simple texture of this little like fog puff here. It's a Legacy Shader Particles Alpha Blended. So go ahead and create a material kind of like this. And if you need it, the texture I'm using looks like this. On the texture itself, it's inputting from the texture alpha because the one I have has a transparent background. Sweet. So once you have that material, let's get into it. Let's go ahead and right click and create an effect that is a particle system, and I'm gonna call this like beam of light PS. And find that material that you made, the fog underscore material, and apply it to that beam of light. So its rotation is -90. Let's get rid of that. Let's make that 0. Great. For the duration, let's increase its duration just a little bit. We will pre-warm it, so we don't want to see the beam of light slowly coming in. It should prep that beforehand. For the start lifetime, let's go ahead and make that a random between two constants, and let's make it long because we're going to make these particles very, very slow. So the start lifetime is something like 100 to maybe 150. And then the start speed, let's turn that down to be random between two constants to be very, very slow, between like 0.01 and 0.05. Let's go ahead and check the 3D start size so we can visualize this. 111 is fine. And the start color, I'm going to turn the alpha down to where it's almost transparent, like pretty darn close to transparent. Now let's go to our emission. The rate over time is 10. Let's make that like 2. And the shape. So the shape of my window is a square, so I'm going to use a box to kind of match that. And then this is where you get into, so I have a custom skybox material that's going right here, right? So in my lighting here, I have a skybox material that I made, and I'm gonna make the sun source my directional light. If you don't know how to get to this panel of lighting, you go to Window, Rendering, Lighting, and you'll find this. Dragging in that directional light means that these directions on my light, 32.9, -13, is the direction of this light. So as I change this, it changes it in the actual game view. So you can see that right there. Sweet. So on the beam of light, the reason why I'm doing that is in our shape module, I can make the rotation match what the directional light is, which I believe was, what was that? 32.9, and the Y was -20. So that way it kind of matches what we have going on. Oh, -13. There we go. Sweet. So eventually this will sort of line up with our light that we have. And I'm gonna make the scale on Y of our box a little bit bigger because my windows are tall. Maybe like a 2, maybe a 1.8, something like that. I'm also gonna go to our color over lifetime and do the thing we do kind of a lot, which is let's select the first alpha frame and make it transparent, add another alpha frame, and the last one, make that transparent. So it kind of fades in and out as it goes. I am gonna add a collisions one, although I'm not really sure that if it's like super necessary, but that way it will die when it touches the floor, I think. So I'm gonna set lifetime loss to 1. And we don't need it to bounce at all, 0. It's just gonna die when it touches a plane. Or world, perhaps? That way, no matter what's in your world, it will die when it touches it. I don't know. And then maybe lastly, let's go to the renderer down here. The render mode we have currently is billboard, but maybe if we make it stretched billboard, yeah, it looks a little bit better. Cool. And we can sort of line that up with our window here, something kind of like that, so it's a little bit better lined up. Cool. Now the other thing that you typically see in volumetric lighting is the dust, right? That's like floating across the beam of light coming through the window. So let's go ahead and also right click and create another particle system, and this will be our dust. For the dust, same deal. I don't want it to rotate, so I'm going to set that rotation on the 90 to 0. I will check pre-more, and for the lifetime, let's also make it kind of a long lifetime, like 30 to 40. Our start speed, let's set that between two constants that are very slow, like 0. 0.01 and 0.2. Great. Our start size itself, though, could be small between two constants. Let's make that like, again, 0.01 and 0.2, just so they're very teeny tiny. The start rotation, we could do a curve with this one and have the curve start high and end low, just so they're kind of rotating over time. For the start color, we can turn down the alpha, maybe about halfway. Let's do the same thing for our shape that we did with our beam of light. Let's turn this one into a box and set its scale to be a little bit bigger on the Y, like 1.8 or even 2. And let's set its angle 32.9 to match our directional light, -13. There we go. And we can position this similarly. Awesome. Let's go to our color over lifetime module. And just like we did with the beam of light, let's set the first two keyframes to be, first and last keyframe to be transparent. And these dust can maybe fade in and out, right? As it maybe catches the light. We're sort of simulating that with these keyframes. Sweet. We can check our size over lifetime as well. And maybe instead of a curve, let's make it between two constants, which would be like small, 0.1, and a little bit bigger, like 0.6. So it sort of is flickering in and out like that. Cool. And let's also give it some noise. I'm going to turn the strength way down, 0.05 maybe. Just a little bit of noise there. And then maybe the frequency down as well, like a 0.3. Let's scroll it as well. Scroll speed of 1, so they kind of flow as we go. And I think octaves, let's see what that does if we increase that to 2. Nice. It gives us just a little bit more variation there. I'm also going to do collision like we did with the other one. Maybe planes. See what that one does. And I suppose we can go to the renderer and also make our dust a stretched billboard. I don't actually know if that's necessary, but it's sort of a preference at this point. I don't mind it being kind of stretched like that if this is like a sunset sort of vibe. Cool. And it's not quite matching my window, so I'm gonna bump everything up. So what if this is 2? Yeah, 1.8, something like that. Z is also 2. Yeah, so it kind of actually fills our window. Same with dust. Let's go 2. Perfect. It's looking a little better. Cool. And I feel like the dust could be even smaller, like a 0.1, something like that. I might even like go in with this and knock the color down even just slightly farther, so it's very, very light. If I move this a little bit more forward, past it and down. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Good job today, and I will see you in the next one.